Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Watchdives WD1967 Sharkmaster version 2. I purchased this watch with earnings from this channel, so again, huge thank you to anyone who's ever used those links down below. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this channel and keep it running, so thank you guys again so much. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the video description. That is a link to the Watchdives website. That's where I purchased this from. You get free FedEx delivery and really good customer service. So I suggest using them, and the prices are actually pretty competitive as well. So yeah, really happy with Watchdives website and their customer service and all that fun stuff. So go check out that link down below. That is an affiliate link. So again, you guys aren't going to pay any extra. I'll just earn a little bit of commission that'll help me keep getting watches like this on the channel. The retail price for this watch is $179 US. That's before any taxes, sales, or coupons. Watchdives, they did have an instant discount on this, I believe $20 at the time I purchased it. And just in case you don't have any sale going on or anything like that, you can use my code, which I will leave right here, Escape10, for $10 off your purchase over $150 US. And again, that does come with free FedEx delivery, which is a huge bonus. The watch currently comes in 3 different setups, which are up on screen now. The watches with the white lume use a glossy black dial and are offered with or without a color-matched date wheel at the 6 o'clock position. The patina version is only offered in a dateless configuration, and it comes with a matte black dial. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal with AR coating. It has a mineral bezel insert, has a screw-down crown, a screw-down case back, 300 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So like I mentioned, this is a version 2 of this watch. I reviewed the version 1 a while back. I'll leave the link right up here. And I really like that watch. But when I saw this one released, I just had to get it. Improvements to the case, the crystal, and the bezel insert is what's new with this version. So I say we get into as much detail as we can. But before we do, wearing another Watchdives watch today. This is the 7922. Yeah, really loving this watch, and I got to do a review for this watch on you guys. Yeah, it's been a hot minute on this one, so I've had a lot of time to review this one, and yeah, this one will be coming to the channel very soon. All right, so let's get into the dimensions. Got a diameter of 39 millimeters, case thickness of 13.1 millimeters, got 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 45.3 millimeters. And sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with one link removed. Weighs 141 grams. So I think the size on this is great. 39 millimeters is at the bezel and at the case. You can see on the 9 o'clock side, you can see the bezel sticks out past the case. On the crown side here, you can see the case sticks out past the bezel. So it does have a asymmetrical case, kind of on purpose, and I think it does look pretty good. Thickness of 13 millimeters, looks really good. A little bit thicker than I like, but definitely acceptable for a dive watch, especially one with 300 meters of claimed water resistance. But you can see there, they redid the case side on this thing, and they did a fantastic job. Just look at that case side, really nice and slim. You got that kind of twisted lug look, which we'll get into detail here. So it wears really slim on wrist. I think it looks fantastic, and that short lug to lug actually makes this watch wear really small, actually smaller than in my opinion, smaller than this 37 millimeter diver. So it wears kind of like a 37 millimeter in my opinion. So I do like the way that it wears. It's very comfortable. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and as you can see, it wears really good. I actually feel like it wears a little smaller than what I imagined it would wear, and I think that's mostly due to the shape of the lugs. But you can see there, nice and low profile on the wrist there. I mean, it just sits really nice. It looks good. The thickness is not bad, but because of that case shape, I think it just looks really good. It looks thinner than it is, so really happy with that. And you can see all the light play. Got a glossy dial, lots of glossy on this watch, but I think it looks good, and those chamfers just look beautiful. Really happy with that, and you're going to get a great fitment with the clasp too. So yeah, really happy with that. And here we are in just slightly different lighting, not under a tree or anything like that. I don't have direct sunlight right now, but hopefully I can get some for you with these other strap shows, or hopefully you saw that earlier. But yeah, really happy with it. The AR coating on the crystal does a pretty good job keeping reflections down, but it's just a glossy watch in general. So legibility can be a little tough, but really not that bad. All right, I'm going to go throw it on some straps, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on kind of an army green cut to size FKM strap. I'm going to call these smooth FKM. The link will be down below. These things are awesome. Yeah, they're about 15 bucks with the clasp or less. And yeah, definitely worth it if you're in the market for something, just a simple, clean strap like that. Yeah, here we are. I got a little fun pop of color for the summer. This is a CNS watch band's raft strap, so single layer underneath the watch there. Still sitting very nice. This is the petrol blue, I think. But yeah, I really like this strap. Very comfortable. I think it looks good. But this thing's going to be a strap monster. And last but not least, got it on a modern bond strap, black and gray. This is from Cincy Strap Co. This is their SF2, so it's a nice thin one. You can see there are 2 layers underneath the watch, and it's still sitting pretty darn close to the wrist. It's super comfortable. Obviously, it was going to look good on this watch. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on this thing. And case finishing is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. It is very Omega-like in its finishing setup. So you can see this surface between the lugs and this big chamfer here. You have this angular brushing there, and it kind of scoops down back towards the bottom of the case there. So it's an interesting look. I think it looks really good. Really nice and fine brushing there. Flipping it to the case sides, again, nice horizontal brushing on that thin mid-case surface there. A little bit of turn down to the lugs there as well. I think it looks really, really good. And then you have this big, beautiful chamfer that runs from one tip right to the other tip there. The transitions between the surfaces, super, super crisp. And the polishing is just mirror-like. I mean, they did a very nice job with this. They told me that they went with a new manufacturer or new factory for their watch cases. They're the same factory that did their Watchdives 5512, which I was really impressed with. And, you know, this is just showing that that factory knows what they're doing. Really nice and high quality case finishing on this thing, and nice high quality case in general. I didn't find any sharp edge except for the inner parts of the lug here. That little spot right there, that's a little bit sharp. It's not something you feel on the wrist at all. So yeah, really impressed with the case finishing on this thing. They did an excellent job. Flipping it to the case back here, circular brushing on the case back. Again, nice and smooth, simple notches to get a tool in there, which I'm a big fan of. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs. Again, this bottom edge here, it's a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say sharp, but they could have smoothed that off a little bit more, but it's not really something that comes in contact with your wrist, so no discomfort when you're wearing it. I think they did a fantastic job on the case on this thing. Yeah, really happy with the case finishing on this. And also, I forgot to mention, a 7mm screw down signed crown here. Plenty of grip on there, tucks in nicely into those crown guards. So yeah, really, sorry about that, really happy with the case finishing and the crown on this thing. It all fits together and looks really, really good. All right, so let's talk about the bezel on this thing. So the bezel itself is kind of controversial. The previous bezel was just basically the case ran up to this edge here. So it was just the teeth on the bezel, or the grip on the bezel. You can see this. It definitely has the bezel kind of sits up, and then you have the teeth above it. Makes grip incredible, really, really grippy bezel. And this is how the original Seamasters did theirs. So I'm going to pop up a shot of an original Seamaster case. You can see the similarities in it. So they did do this for a reason. I think it looks odd, but I understand why they did it, and I do like the added grip that it adds. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the look of it. Circular brushing on that bottom surface there, and then polishing on the top surface and polishing on the teeth. I think it all looks really good. Plenty of grip, like I mentioned. The alignment, spot on. You do have a glass bezel insert. It's a mineral glass. I did test that, but I think it looks good. I think it looks really good. I wish they would have done sapphire, but mineral I'm okay with as well. You can see kind of right here, it does have a slight kind of bubble effect to it. I think it looks really good. A lot better than that old ceramic bezel, which was just super shiny. This one looks fantastic. Really happy with it. Everything you see here in white is loomed with BGW9 Lume, so it's a fully loomed bezel, and I think it looks fantastic. The bezel action, it's a 120 click unidirectional. I'll let you listen to the clicks here. So really nice and loud and clicky. Again, plenty of grip on this thing. The bezel has no play in it in any direction. Really happy with the bezel on this thing. It sounds quality. It feels quality. Very functional. Again, alignment is just spot on. Really happy with the bezel on this watch. I mean, it's right up there with some of the better watches I've handled. All right, so let's talk about the crystal on this thing. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. It is sapphire. So it is a box dome sapphire crystal, as you can see here. Pretty subtle box dome. The radius on the edge there is very subtle. The previous one had a very rounded appearance to it, and it had a lot of blue AR coating. So they got rid of that. Makes the dial more legible, and obviously that blue glare was a bit of an eyesore on a black dial. So I'm happy with the changes that they made. It's definitely not as tall as it was previously, which I do like a tall crystal, but this one is fantastic. I got no issues with it at all. Clear AR coating, much better than the blue AR coating. Yeah, they picked a really good crystal on this one. Very happy with it. All right, let's get real close. We'll talk about the dial on this thing. So I think the dial is really good. Like I mentioned, this white Lume dial, it is offered with a date at the 6 o'clock position. It is a color match date wheel. And then these dials are glossy black. The faux patina one is a matte black dial. It doesn't have the big triangle at the 12, and it does not come with a date. So it's just something to note. But I think the dial looks really good. It is fully printed. The white indices there are printed with BGW9. The hands are filled with BGW9. Even the second hand there is filled with BGW9. So really happy with that. The numerals on the dial, those are also BGW9. You have a printed logo at the 12 o'clock position, and then simple automatic 300 meters at 6 o'clock. It's a very clean dial. I think it looks really good. The crystal makes this dial look a lot nicer than the previous one, I'll say that. So yeah, really happy with that. You have a white seconds hand, which I love to see. The handset that they use, nice size. It reaches right out to the minute hand. I do think the hour hand could be maybe just a little bit bigger, but it doesn't bother me in its current size. So yeah, I'm really happy with the dial on this thing. Everything is printed straight. Everything is printed nice and crisp. I'm getting real close. You can see just how crisp everything is printed on this dial. Really happy with it. The handset that they used, again, really nicely done. I don't see any fluff under the dial or anything like that. Nice clean installation. You have a brushed rehaut there. Everything, yeah, I mean, it all looks really good. The daytime Lume color is a perfect match in my opinion. The Lume on this watch is pretty good. I'm just going to say it's not pretty good. It's really good. So I'm going to pop up a Lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it just holds its own. It's a BGW9. The bezel does fade a little bit faster than the dial, but I had no issues reading this in the middle of the night. That BGW9 on the dial, being a printed dial, really surprised me how good the Lume was on this watch. It lasts all night long, and it is very bright. So really impressed with the Lume on this watch. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is the Seiko NH35 automatic movement, 21,600 beats per hour, so 6 ticks of the second hand every second, and hand winds, does everything you need it to do. It's cheap, it's reliable, they're easy to work on, they're fantastic movements. The only negative to this is that it does have a date window behind the dial, so you have a ghost date position, but other than that, they're fantastic watches. Here's how this one has been running. It's been running fine for me. I can't complain too much about that. I do like to see it running a little bit closer to zero, but for this price point, it's hard to argue with that. The movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown, 7 millimeters, again, nicely signed there. Good grip on it too. I don't really have any issues getting a grip on this thing. It's a good size. I think the perfect size for it. It's not too tall or anything like that. You get a decent pop out from the NH35. First position is your smooth hand winding. Second position is that ghost date. I can hear it clicking around back there, so they didn't remove any of the parts. Again, not a huge deal for me. Pulling it out to the third position hacks the movement. This is where you set your time. It's a nice solid feeling crown. Does have a little bit of wobble to it, but not anything that's out of the ordinary. Pushing it in starts up the movement every single time, so no issues with it. Smooth screw in action as well. It's one of those ones where while you're screwing in the crown, it is winding the movement, so a little bit of resistance because of that, but the threading feels very smooth. So yeah, it's the NH35. They're great movements, and I have no issues with them in a watch in this price point. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet is 20 millimeters and it tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. It's push pins for sizing. I removed one link for my 7.5 inch wrist. The bracelet on this watch is fine. It's actually pretty good. It's not the best. It's not San Martin level, but I'd put it pretty close to like Suggest level, just with push pins instead of screws. The tolerances in it are pretty good. It doesn't really jangle too much or anything like that. Very happy with it. You got polishing on the sides and brushing on the top, which is nicely done. It matches the case really good. The links are fully solid. The end links are also solid, as you can see there. Female pivot end links, and the spring bars in them are very nice and solid. The tolerances on these end links are excellent and matches up with the case just about perfect. It's really hard to complain with that. Nice tight end link fitment there. No issues with this at all. They feel great. They look great. Working our way to the clasp. This is the clasp that was on the previous version as well. I'm really happy with that. I've seen this clasp before. I think Suggest uses it, and I believe even Christopher Ward has one that's very similar to this one. I'm not going to say it's the same clasp, but yeah, they have one that is very, very similar to this one. So you do have the Watchdives branding there, brushed on the top, brushed on the sides. Nice polished chamfer there, so it matches the case nicely. Nice rounded push buttons here. Everything functions as it should. Nice tight tolerances in here. Nice tight tolerances here as well. So really happy with the clasp and the star of the show on this clasp. It is a on the fly clasp, so you can push it in here, and then you pull this button. Whoops! You pull this button back, and then you can extend it out. You got about, I don't know, 7-8 millimeters of adjustment there. So really nice to have. Should cover pretty much every wrist size. So yeah, I was able to get a perfect fitment on this thing. The functionality of that clasp works every single time. The clasp itself functions great. It's not too thick or not too bulky, not too heavy. It balances out the watch head just about perfect in my opinion. So yeah, the bracelet on this watch is pretty good. I'd say better than average. The clasp is excellent. Yeah, you're gonna really like this. I kind of wish they would have done a different design on the bracelet, but you know, I understand why they went with this. It's a pretty proven design. Many people like this design. I like it, but I think something a little bit different would have been cool. But yeah, I can't fault them too bad. The execution on the bracelet is actually pretty darn good. So there you go, guys. That is the Watchdives WD1967 Sharkmaster version 2. Do I think it's worth an upgrade to the previous one? If you like that watch, I'd say no, keep it. But if you are, you know, if something in that previous version held you up, I think now's the time to buy. They kind of nailed the case. The Lume is still crazy good. The bracelet is the same as before, which is really good. Yeah, I've got no real issues with it, and they just, I mean, like I said, they just nailed that case. They're going after that old vintage Seamaster look, and they just got it. So really happy with that, and the high quality case with the high quality crystal and the killer Lume. It's going to be a hard package to be $170 and even less on sale. You're going to really like this watch. So I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.